wish you could unmute these all at once. Okay, so we're ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the Taking the Points NFL Betting Show. 4 of us today, very excited. I'll go to our guests first. We've got Benjamin Allbright, NFL and Broncos reporter at Broncos Flagship. Benjamin, man, we appreciate you joining us. Happy belated Thanksgiving. We appreciate your time, man.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Coach Jay, I'm coming to you next. I saw the video you tweeted about your buddy golfing. It was not a good video. Not a good video. He looked like he was struggling a bit.
Yeah, we ended up coming back and winning some money, though, so that's the important thing, Grant. He got his mind right, started to make some putts, and lo and behold, it was a great upset.
JJ, happy belated Thanksgiving as well as you. The Magic, how about it, man? They're red hot. 12-5, is that what they are now?
12-5, 7 in a row. First time since 2010 since we won 7 in a row. It's been a great year so far. Knock on wood. We're going for 8 tonight against the Hornets, or then the Wizards, and then we play the Wizards again on Friday. We could go 9 in a row, man. I'm looking forward to it.
You got to beat the Wizards, right? I mean, the Wizards are terrible this year.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the picks here. Last week, Coach Jay, Mr. Only Guy That Knows What He's Talking About on the panel. 3 weeks in a row. Overall records are right here. JJ was 19-13 in his absence last week, so pretty good. And as you guys can see, I'm still dragging ass in the back. But we move forward. Going to try to catch up here and have a good week. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. And Albright, I'm going to come to you first, man, as the guest. No Kenneth Walker tomorrow night. He's listed as doubtful, so probably not going to go. As you can see, clean slate with the picks. Dallas to cover the spread, -9. I'm on the under with JJ, and then Jay is on the over. We'll get to that in a bit. But, Ben, walk us through your thoughts on the Seahawks the rest of the season. It looks like their playoff chances are slimming down a bit, but walk us through this game, and do you agree with all of us that the Cowboys will cover at home tomorrow night?
I do. I think it's going to be the Brian Schottenheimer revenge game too. I think Brian's got an axe to grind with the way he was kind of ousted there in Seattle. So I do believe that Schotty will want to run it up a little bit. So I think they'll cover the 9. As far as the under goes, yeah, I mean Dallas's defense is good. Deron Bland is having an incredible season, but it starts up front. Starts with the pressure they generate up front and allows that secondary to feast. So I like Dallas to cover the 9. I like the under in this one.
I know Dak Prescott is hot right now, but every guest that we've had, everyone I've talked to, I love to get the question. I know Coach Jay likes to rip on me because I do like to rip on some quarterbacks that are pretty good. But thoughts on Dak Prescott? It seems like it's a mixed bag of emotions all across the league and across fans across America.
I like Dak. Dak's a good quarterback. He's efficient with distributing the football. He knows where to find his receivers. He's got a great one there in CeeDee Lamb. I don't understand what the axe to grind with him is. He's a good quarterback. He's a top third of the league quarterback. Who hates on Dak?
The axe to grind that I've come to Coach Jay and to JJ about is if he can't win games in the playoffs again this year, do they look to move on is the question, because it's been several years now where they'll get in, Coach Jay, and they can't win.
Who, Grant? Who are they going to move on to? They got a big quarterback that can wing it. He can run. He can throw. He's a good guy. Who are they going to move on to? I mean,
it's a fair question.
You guys, you critics, you analysts, man, you guys got to understand how hard it is to play the quarterback position, how hard it is to get to the playoffs. Number one, to win a playoff game is very difficult. And I know a lot of it is on the quarterback's plate. I get that. But you want to be in the position to get to the playoffs and have an opportunity. And Dak gives them the best opportunity to do that. Year in and year out.
JJ, thoughts on the Cowboys in this game tomorrow night?
I mean, let's talk about Dak real quick. I mean, can we put him in the top 5 consideration right now for MVP if you go across the board right now? I mean, he's got to be
top 5 for sure.
Right, he's got to be top 5 right now. So you're telling me you're going to take a top 5 possible MVP candidate this year and want to move on from him, Grant?
You got to. I'm not saying they should. All I'm saying is, are there going to be questions raised if they don't win in the playoffs? That's it.
Deshaun Watson might be available. Maybe they should go get Deshaun Watson. That really makes the fans of Dallas really happy.
I don't know how they massage that one.
Gotta win it. Gotta win in the playoffs. You absolutely have to win in the playoffs. He's a good quarterback, JJ. Again, it's just you see it all the time, right? Questions get raised if you don't win in the playoffs, and he hasn't won anything for them in the playoffs. So again, great quarterback. He's on a tear right now, but they've got to get it done when it matters. Is that fair, JJ?
I mean, they're gonna play in the playoffs. They're gonna win. I mean, if you look at the rest of the NFC, I mean, they're gonna open up against a weaker opponent with the NFC. I mean, who are they gonna open up with? They should be able to move on past the divisional rounds, get into the, I think they'll be okay. I think and even my dad's pick before the season. I mean, it's a Super Bowl pick, right? You took the Dallas Cowboys to get to the Super Bowl.
They're probably going to open against NFC South winner, right? Most likely.
Yeah. So
that'll be a tough game. The Buffalo Saints.
Very good team. They have a very good quarterback, but I want to see him win the playoffs this year, and I think they have the team and the roster to do so around him. Colts, Titans move on to the next game on the slate. Coach Jay, I'm coming to you here off the jump. We talked about it a little bit last week. Will Levis, again, rookie. We expect him to struggle, right? But after the one good game he had where he lit it up with DeAndre Hopkins, he struggled a bit, but in this game, it's basically a pick-up, 1-point spread. But walk me through the game and a Colts team that surprisingly is still actively fighting for an AFC playoff spot.
They absolutely are fighting for a playoff spot. And Zach Moss, obviously with Jonathan Taylor hurt, will get the bulk of the carries, which he proved he can handle early in the season when Jonathan wasn't there. Gardner Minshew is a game manager type quarterback. He can make plays outside the pocket. And I think he does just enough to get the victory over Tennessee. I'm not sold on Will Levis yet. He's a young quarterback. He's going to have his struggles against the Indianapolis defense. I just think Indianapolis right now at this time is a better football team than Tennessee.
Absolutely. Home and away records are pretty similar here. Titans are 4. They are similar. Titans are 4-1 at home. Colts are 4-1 on the road. So it should be a good matchup. JJ, over under 42.5 with Gardner Minshew and Will Levis. High, low, or just right?
I think it's just right. I think it goes under the total. Again, Gardner Minshew struggled a little bit last week. He made some poor throws. He should have had another pick in that game. I watched the Bucs game because it's streaming here down in Tampa. He didn't perform as great as he could, and I'm not sure if the Jonathan Taylor injury is going to hurt him. Zach Moss did a great job filling in for him early, but Gardner Minshew's got to play a little bit better if they want to be a Tennessee Titans team. And I want to rewind it back to 2 weeks ago because you guys gave me a lot of shit for, especially because I said the Colts are still in the hunt. They are still going for it, and here they are now in the playoff spot right now because they keep on winning games. I like their defense. Gardner Minshew just has to be a better game manager this week, and I think they get the job done on the road.
Ben, I want to come to you here. Obviously, an unfortunate season-ending injury, but a quarterback that I do really enjoy watching, I think is going to be good for several years in the NFL, is Anthony Richardson. So thoughts on him coming out of the draft and just going forward, with him at the helm? Just thoughts on Anthony Richardson overall?
Well, I mean, I thought he was, a talented athlete. He was just a guy that had to grow into becoming a quarterback, and they've created a system around him that works for him. Shane Steichen's done a great job. He did it for Jalen Hurts. He did it in the rookie year for Justin Herbert. He's a guy who knows how to, take a system and maximize it for his quarterback's potential. And I think Richardson's got a little growing to do as a passer, but he's an all-world athlete, and he's certainly surprised with how well. I mean, he and C.J. Stroud, God, they've blown the doors off this year with how well they played early.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, he is a freak athlete, strong arm, and accuracy was the big question for him coming out of the draft. And he has some work to do, but it looked like he was at a spot in his playing career where he was already ahead of where a lot of critics and a lot of media members said he was going to be coming into the NFL. So very impressed there. Next game on the slate, JJ, let's keep rolling. Browns at Rams. I'm coming to you first, JJ, because, Coach, I'm honestly surprised you're taking the Cleveland Browns to cover on the road. JJ, it sounds like it's going to be Joe Flacco unless somehow DTR clears concussion protocol. Are you not a believer in the 49,000-year-old Joe Flacco on the road against the LA Rams, who just blew the brakes off of Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals last week?
I'm not, no. I mean, I don't know how that offense is going to move the ball. They haven't been really moving the ball since Deshaun Watson got hurt against Baltimore. I mean, LA, they got a pretty stout defense for the most part. Hopefully they could take advantage and score a couple touchdowns. I think it's the first one here to 20, maybe 17 wins this ball game. It's going to be a low-scoring affair. But ultimately, I just think that Stafford and those guys, Puka, I think they're going to get involved a lot. I do like the Rams here in this spot specifically.
Jay, you're taking the Cleveland Browns? That's like must be one of the first times all year.
Well, I got to check the injury report. Is Myles Garrett out? Is Denzel Ward playing? I mean, these are two key components. If they're both out, I'm going to switch my pick. I got to, this is a Wednesday afternoon, and guys are DNPs, and I don't know who's playing or not. So if the MVP of the league is playing, Myles Garrett, then I take the Cleveland Browns in a low-scoring game. They may not win, but I think it'll be within a couple points. Very similar to the Bear-Viking game the other night.
Prediction on that one, Monday Night Jay, was spot on. And Kevin did say as of today, he didn't practice, but he expects Myles Garrett to be out there on Sunday. Ben, thoughts on the Browns-Rams? Obviously, you got to see the Browns firsthand last week in Denver. And again, the Rams just blew breaks off the Cardinals last week. So thoughts on this matchup?
It's going to be interesting. I think the Browns got a little recovery to do. Garrett is supposed to play in this game, and Joe Flacco's been getting the QB1 reps in practice this week. I expect him to go. That 3.5 is a funny number because you look at this and you look at the betting patterns. Actually, the public is all over the Rams, but the sharps are all over the Browns on this one. So there's something up with that. That 3.5's an interesting number. I like. It was interesting to me because the Broncos came out and ran the trap game, real effectively on and taking advantage of the aggression from the Browns defensive tackles. I don't know that Sean McVay is going to come out and do that, but I like the Browns to keep this one close. I think I'm with Coach on this one.
How did you feel going into the Broncos game last week? Again, we had mentioned and announced that the Browns are going to be going into town. You're going to be coming on the show next week, so I got a lot of messages to ask. Thoughts on the Browns team overall? Take away Deshaun Watson now that he's out of the picture. Just they wanted to hear from you again. Thoughts on this team overall, and if you think whether it is Joe Flacco or DTR, if they could somehow manage to get a playoff spot.
It's going to be tough. I mean, they got a tough schedule ahead of them. It's going to be tough for them to wangle out a playoff spot, especially with some of the other teams that are still in the hunt. As far as the Browns team overall, I mean, they got a good football team. They run the ball effectively, even if it's not the most efficient in the world. They run it effectively and they stick with it. Defensively, they're a juggernaut. When Garrett can play, when he's healthy, I mean, they're a juggernaut. They got a great secondary. Even the linebacking core is rangy. So, I like the football team. I think they're good. I didn't particularly care for Watson in that offense, but he finally put it together, I guess, in that last half before he got hurt. DTR, I think he's got a bright future. I think, he's just a guy that needs to grow into it. Flacco, I mean, he's Joe Flacco. That's whatever. But, in terms of them as a football team, I think the sky's the limit. They're in their window.
I love it. Benjamin Allbright's breakdown of the Cleveland Browns right there. Let's keep moving on here. Next game on this slate, Coach Jay, I'm coming right here because you just pointed to yourself as the one and only sharp on this show. Chargers at Patriots. The Chargers have to get it done, Coach Jay, right? I mean, you're on the road. The Patriots are struggling like crazy, 2-9. Chargers need a win desperately. Playoffs are probably just far and few between there for the Chargers, but they got to win this game, right, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, the Patriot quarterback situation is absolutely horrific. Bradley Zappi and Mac Jones, they don't know who to play, and whichever one does play will throw a couple picks, and they'll bench them and bring the other guy in. So they're not getting any production from their wideouts. The running game is not good. Charger defense is not exactly a juggernaut, but I think they make enough plays and hold the Patriot offense, and the Chargers should be able to score at least 20 points, and that should be plenty to beat the Patriots.
JJ, QB carousel continues, as Coach Jay just mentioned, in New England. I don't see a way the Patriots win this game. I know the spread is 6 and crazier things have happened, but the Chargers and Brandon Staley desperately need a win.
Well, you talk about a QB carousel. Let's talk about a coaching carousel so far this season. 2 coaches already getting fired. And this is a game where Brandon Staley, I feel like, needs to pick up. I mean, you can't lose this game to the Patriots with the struggles that New England has been having. And if they lose this game this week, I don't know what the record is for amount of coaches fired within the season, but 3 is quite a big number. And you could see that coming up this week. So I feel like their backs are against the wall. They could still make a little bit of a push, but I mean, they got to win out if they want to make the playoffs. And it's going to be a tough road ahead, especially with the divisional games coming up too. They got to win this one. It starts in New England. They got to do something here. So that's why I'm on the Chargers.
Yeah, Ben, I'll come to you. Again, what I said earlier might be an unpopular opinion, but one that's very popular right now is Brandon Staley's future if they can't win this game or start to win a lot of games consecutively in the near future.
Yeah, I was told he's out at the end of the year unless he wins a playoff game and gets deep in the playoffs. And if they lose this game, they're effectively eliminated. I mean, they're not totally eliminated, but they're effectively eliminated at that point. The destiny's out of their hands. It's still kind of out of their hands right now. They need this win. They'll get this win. The Patriots are an absolute mess on offense. I didn't think it could get worse than last year with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and somehow they found a way. So, from what I hear, Zappi and Cunningham are even getting the QB1 reps right now, splitting the QB1 reps in practice. So it could be even worse this coming week.
Wow. So I assume then obviously Mac Jones is not going to be on the New England Patriots next year, Benjamin.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that for a fact, but it would seem to indicate that based on the direction that they're heading, that they're probably going to draft a quarterback, whether that's Caleb Williams or Drake May or JJ McCarthy.
Do you see one in particular in the draft, if you were the Patriots front office, given their team and their system, that you would have your eye on that would best fit what they have going in New England?
I think if you get Caleb Williams, you change around whatever you're doing to make it work.
Yeah,
I think it's. I think that's it. I think it's probably one of those 3. So we'll see as time draws near.
Yeah,
I gotta cut you off real quick. You would take JJ McCarthy over Jaden Daniels?
I would, yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Can we elaborate on that?
I like Jaden's athleticism, and I think he's going to have a fine future in the NFL. Look at it, watching him play, and I watched a couple of games of him play. It looked like it's still a tick slow for him at times in terms of the passing. It looks like his comprehension of the field just looks a tick slow. Same thing reminded me of Justin Fields when he was coming out. He's got great protection around him, track star receivers, everything else. Everything just looked a tick slow for him. And, I don't know how quickly he'll make that adjustment in the NFL for Fields. It's been a while. In fact, it's still, kind of a thing in the NFL. So we'll see. McCarthy's got all kinds of pro-style experience, pro-concept experience. He understands the verbiage, the word calls. He's not going to be as lost coming into the thing. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. I think he's most underrated in this class.
College football playoff is going to be very exciting this year to see who wins. Championship Saturday is this weekend. Fantastic weekend of football ahead. Next game on the slate, let's keep rolling. Lions game, Lions Saints. I'm the only one taking the Lions after a letdown Thanksgiving early game against those Green Bay Packers. Coach Jay, how disappointed were you in those Detroit Lions? And obviously you have to be somewhat disappointed because you're not taking them on the road this week against those New Orleans Saints.
Early in the season, Detroit played pretty good defense, and I was giving credit to their staff and the players and their effort and all that stuff. The last few weeks, they have not been very good, and I got to figure that Derek Carr and these Saints, and they'll get it together somehow, get Alvin Kamara going and get the running game going and make some plays down the field with the wideouts. I just think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think the Saints will come out with a close game and maybe possibly win it. The Saints have to win as well to keep pace in the NFC South because they're right there for that NFC South crown. So I'm taking the Saints. I got to see more from the Detroit Lion defense. They have struggled as of late, and I never like to bet on teams that have a struggling defense.
Yeah, that NFC South division is just hideous. I mean, you got the Falcons and Saints tied for first, so they're both 5-6. Ben, again, this game, letdown game, I think everybody can agree last week on Thanksgiving. But, I mean, they are 8-3. They're a decent team. Thoughts on how you see this game going here?
I agree with Coach on the defensive portion. On the offensive side of the ball, Jared Goff hadn't been that good the last 2 weeks either. He's kind of turned into a bit of a pumpkin. And is Ben Johnson, I don't know if his eyes are maybe on a head coaching job or what's going on with the offense in Detroit, but it's been able to carry them through some mediocre defensive performances before. That's not the case. Saints defense is underrated. I think they're a very good defense. If they can get anything going offensively, they should win this game. So give me the Saints on this one and give me the over.
Yeah, it's a great point. Jared Goff had 3 interceptions 2 weeks ago on Thanksgiving. I think he fumbled twice, even maybe 3 times. So a lot of turnovers. JJ, how are we feeling about this game? Again, I taken the Lions to cover that spread at -4, but it feels like one of those coin flip games. I can't really seem like I can get a read on it.
Yeah, no, the defense has been struggling. The quarterback play has been struggling. The offensive line hasn't been very good either. There's been a lot of pressure on Jared Goff. And to cap it all off, I mean, New Orleans Saints, we're talking about the NFC South. That division's still wide open. Backs against the wall. They're desperate right now. They're playing at home. It's going to be a tough environment for the Lions to coming off that loss. Luckily, they have a few extra days rest since Thanksgiving, but I think this New Orleans Saints team, and I've been burned by them a couple times this season. I've been on the Saints a couple times, and I got hurt by them. But this is a game where New Orleans should pull up an upset in a way victory at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to play, obviously, with New Orleans. The next game on the slate, we've said trap like 5 times on this show before, and I really can't be like, Desmond Ridder against this New York Jets defense on the road. Ben, I'm going to come to you here first, man. I'm not buying that, and I know, obviously, with the quarterback play that's been absolutely just atrocious in New York since the Aaron Rodgers injury. That's probably plays a huge factor into why they are favored, and Falcons do have some pieces outside of Desmond Ridder. But do you feel like this line is weird? Falcons being favored by 3 on the road against the Jets and that defense that is pretty good?
Well, I mean, with Tim Boyle at quarterback, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, this is 2 bad quarterbacks. Desmond Ridder might be slightly better, but I don't like either one of these guys. In terms of was the over-under, it's down to 33.5, something like that. I mean, they're expecting no scoring. It's like me in high school. I think that at the end of the day, I think I like the Jets and the defense in this one more than I necessarily like Atlanta.
Coach Jay, Dolphins-Jets game last week was obviously, as we watched, not even close with Tim Boyle. What did you think of Tim Boyle? Didn't really do anything at all. It seemed like they had a conservative game plan, just wanted to protect the ball, and obviously the game plan didn't work out. But you're on the Jets +3 is here as well, so walk us through it.
I really didn't want to pick this game at all. This is a bad game. It's a bad National Football League game and should not be on TV anywhere. It's horrific. The only chance the Jets have is they hand the ball off to their big backs and they control the clock, maybe complete a couple bubble screens or release screens and have a very similar game plan that the Bears had. Throw 11 bubble screens for 9 yards and hopefully catch a dagger late in the game and win 12-10. I mean, that's the way football is nowadays for some of these teams with bad quarterbacks. And the Jets defense should be able to stop Bijan Robinson and Atlanta Falcons and Ritter. And I think the Jets somehow get a win, 12-10, 11-10, 9-8. I don't know. It's going to be a weird game.
JJ,
I feel like these quarterbacks, though, they're actual professional quarterbacks. I mean, why is it that some of these quarterbacks, I mean, the top tier quarterbacks are there, but is it like not as much creativity behind the offensive side of the ball? Or
they haven't played, JJ. They haven't played. All right. These are young quarterbacks. They're late round picks. They just haven't played a lot.
Like
Desmond Ritter.
now, I mean, he's been around.
Tim Boyle. I can't remember him playing a lot of football before in a game situation.
I remember that. You played on Thanksgiving one day.
You throw a young quarterback into the mix and say, okay, here, go beat the Jets, Desmond Ritter. Here, they have 2 all-pro corners, and I mean, good luck. It's not going to happen.
I was shocked. Ben, I'm going to come back to you. I was shocked. Were you shocked that they went to Tim Boyle over Trevor Siemian? Did that shock you at all?
Yeah, it did. I mean, Siemian is what he is. He's a spot start guy at best, but Tim Boyle's been, I mean, look, Tim Boyle's a better quarterback than I ever was and I ever will be. But at the same time, I mean, Tim Boyle's been a guy who's thrown interceptions at an alarming rate since high school. I mean, he threw an interception every 20 passes in high school. You know, I mean, it's not. Who does he have blackmail pictures on that he's still employed in the league? I have to know. But it's at the end of the day, I mean, Trevor Siemian, he's a spot start guy, middling arm. He drifts back too far in the pocket, makes the edge rush arc too easy for him to get sacked, and that's he'll put you in negative spots. We saw that happen in Denver. It's just 6 of one, half dozen of the other. What do you want? Interceptions or sacks?
Yeah, 100%.
I might have to put my pick after hearing that and take the damn Falcons. Tim Boyle's been throwing interceptions at an alarming rate since high school. Give me the Falcons. Change my pick. That's horrific.
The line on this game for this game to be the least bet on game on this slate has to be like minus 700 or 750 or 1,000. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. JJ, this has to be one of those games where you cover your eyes with a blindfold, pull out 4 Heinekens, put the kid to bed, and just flip a coin and bet whichever side comes on the coin, right? I mean, it's hideous.
No, I'll tell you, you're at a sports bar. You have 6 TVs in front of you. You fill all the TVs with that one. You have that back one in the corner. That's the one that you put it on, so you can look back at it when all the other games are on commercial break. That's the scheme right here.
This is a game that somebody like JJ himself taking the points would still bet on. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I do it every Thursday night. I mean, whatever is on. I mean, we had some shitty Thursday night games too. But this game right here, I just think defense is going to get the better of them. Jets, I think there's going to be a lot of more mojo behind the Jets. I saw that Aaron Rodgers came off injured reserve today. He's practicing. Who knows if he comes back some plays? I don't know if they can still make the playoffs. I think they have a slim chance. But if they can get a win here, start here against Atlanta at home, build some momentum, maybe get a couple more games later if Aaron Rodgers returns. That could be something to kind of look for. So I think there's going to be some buzz in that building, and I think there's going to be buzz at MetLife, and I think the Jets get it done.
Yeah, Ben, what is up with this Aaron Rodgers practicing, coming back? Like, it just seems really bizarre. Does he want to be this just like superhuman first to do it? I mean, it seems dangerous. Like JJ just said, like they're not making the playoffs. There's just no way. Like, what do we make of this? Aaron Rodgers back at practice. Like, it just seems crazy.
This guy wants to play. I think he's got a lot to prove after working his way out of Green Bay and trying to do that. He tried to do it to Denver, and then he ultimately succeeded doing it to New York. And I think he's got something to prove. I think that his reputation, off the field, for whatever you think of him, I think people think he's kind of a whatever. So I think his reputation's taking a bit. I think he's a guy who wants to get back out on the field and be like, I can still ball, and that's all you need to know.
Makes sense. Guy, he loves playing, including wants
the
to play.
only buzz at the Jet Stadium, JJ, is going to be the fans after their 4th beer. Right? That's it. There's no buzz at Jet Stadium right now.
I watching that for Black Friday game, those fans, they kept showing them. They look miserable. They look terrible there. Oh, my God. Can only imagine, bringing in somebody like Aaron Rodgers in the first play of the game, his Achilles is gone. It's terrible.
The quarterback play there is like the least inspiring thing I've ever seen, and I watched myself play in high school.
Yeah, it's not fun all around. The shout out to those fans that do still go to every single game because it's absolutely bizarre. Next game on the slate, Cardinals Steelers. Coach Jay, no renegade. I mean, Kyler Murray's not going to be rattled by a renegade. Cardinals plus 5.5 on the road in Pittsburgh. Walk me through the the Arizona Cardinals covering in this game on the road.
It's a bad pick probably, but I just think it'll be a close game. I think I'm not sold on it. I know Pittsburgh got 400 yards for the first time ever. The Cincinnati defense right now is struggling mightily personnel-wise. They have some injuries, and it's been a nightmare for them. I'm not sold on this. Having the Steelers give more than 3 or 4 points to anybody, you got to take the other team, right? It's going to be a close game. Pittsburgh's going to have trouble scoring. I think Kyler Murray might do enough to get a couple touchdowns in, and I see the game being 17-14, 13-10, something like that. And I think it'll be closer than people think.
JJ, you're like your dad here. You're on the Cardinals covering as well. Cardinals are 2-10, 0-6 on the road, but they do have their quarterback now that they didn't have for the majority of the season. They get it done and cover. Do you think there's a chance that they win on the road, steal one, or just cover it at most?
Yeah, again, I mean, Kenny Pickett giving him 5.5 points. It's almost close to 6 points. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, if the Steelers win, I think it's by 4 or less. I mean, at the end of the day, defensively, they'll keep them in the game. But Kyler has been coming back, and he has been performing well. He's been making throws. He's doing things with his legs. I know there's some injuries there in the receiver core with Michael Wilson being out. But at the end of the day, I think they can get something going. If they could put up 17, 20 points, they're a threat right there for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I don't think Pittsburgh will be able to put up more than 20. But at the end of the day, it is the Cardinals, but I just think they keep it close enough.
Yeah, Ben, I'm coming to you here now. Thoughts on, obviously, Matt Canada is gone. And obviously, as Coach Jay just mentioned, right, their offense finally looked against a underwhelming Bengals defense. It looked better. One connection that I, again, is excited as I am, being a Browns fan, Pat Freiermuth looked fantastic last week. The Kenny Pickett to Freiermuth connection looked good. Outlook on the Steelers offense, and what do you expect out of them for the rest of the season now without Matt Canada?
Well, first of all, I'm all over Arizona in this one, and I think Coach John Gannon's going to have the Cardinals ready to play. As far as the Steelers go, the fact that they were 6.5 on the spread, that might be the over total for what they score. I mean, even with the yardage, that offense still has got severe problems. You got Deontay Johnson. I think everybody saw that clip of him putting the least amount of effort I've ever seen into a football play. And once again, I'd like to remind everyone that I played high school football, and that is the least amount of effort I've ever seen go into one play. It was the Steelers find new ways to embarrass themselves with this stuff every week. And it's interesting because they used to be Tomlin's a good coach, and they used to be the Steeler way and all that. They've lost their way on this one. So give me Arizona. I don't think I think last week was a one-off for the Pittsburgh's offense, and they'll kind of come back to earth.
Love it. You guys got me scared shitless for the Steelers minus 5.5 picks. So probably won't put my money on it, but I'm going to stick behind it for the pick as far as the records go. Next game on this NFL slate, Dolphins at Commanders. JJ, the Miami Dolphins going on the road to Washington, cover and win by 10 points.
I'm going to throw out the question, because when Jack Del Rio got fired, he's taking over defensive responsibilities. I thought I saw somewhere that he's calling plays or he's calling defensive plays. I don't know, man. I just think this Dolphins team is just too explosive. Defensively, they're going to stop the run. They're going to help stop Bijan Robinson, or they're going to help stop Brian Robinson. I just feel like the Dolphins are just too good not to take here. I mean, I don't know why you guys are on Washington. They're not going to be able to keep up. Maybe if they get a backdoor cover, that's the only chance that they got. I mean, Dolphins are going to just outscore this team by 30.
Coach
This is an alternate spread. This is an alternate spread.
I'm playing for the backdoor cover. I'm playing for the backdoor cover. I am. I think it's going to be. I think Miami will be in control of the game pretty much the whole game. I think Sam Howell will get them in the end zone late in the game, and it'll be 35-28 final score.
Dolphins just lost Jalen Phillips. That's a big piece.
There's no way the Commanders score 28 points.
Sam Howell's been throwing the ball pretty good, JJ. They had a pretty good week against Dallas. They just struggled on 3rd and 4th and 1, for God's sakes. If they can figure out their short yardage plan, then they can move the ball. They can do some good things. Brian Robinson's okay. Terry McLaurin will get going. Samuel will get going. The tight end, Logan Thomas, he'll make a couple plays. But I really like Sam Howell. I think he's a pretty tough guy. He's going to make plays outside the pocket. I'm not overly sold on the Miami defense. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and I think Washington keeps it somewhat close.
I think it's just somewhat telling when you see a spread from another team. It doesn't matter how bad and how good the teams are coming into another team's territory, and they're 9.5, 10-point favorites.
Everybody's putting a lot of. Everybody's still overbet Miami because of the Denver game. They scored 70 points. They haven't covered the spread that much this year. Outscored people by that many points, have they?
No,
not. It's everybody's living off that, and I said I was front row for that 70-point drubbing, so still getting flashbacks to that in my sleep. This one's interesting because I'm looking at one of the sports books numbers right now. 55% of the public's on the Dolphins, but 84% of the money is on the Commanders on that spread. I think I like the Commanders to cover that 9.5 right there and keep it close at the backdoor cover.
See, the public money's on the Commanders to cover, right?
The public tickets are on the Dolphins. The sharp money is on the Command. The big money's on the Commanders.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you were just talking about Sam Howell a couple weeks ago, JJ. Like he's lighting it up, top of the league.
I agree, but there's only so much you can do, especially against a high-flying offense like the Dolphins. I mean, he'll do okay. I mean, he might throw a touchdown, maybe two, but the Commanders are not going to put up 28 points. There's no chance that this team puts up 28 points. There's no chance they put up 24 points. They're going to score less than 20. Dolphins probably will score 35, close to maybe 42 even. I think their offense is going to get going here. They got to start getting some momentum to going because I think they have a tough schedule.
I am a little worried about the secondary for the Commanders. They are not playing very well right now. So yeah, I do have that concerns, but I still think Washington will play with some pace and try to get some points. 21, 24, 28. I don't know. Who knows? They'll get enough to cover 9.5, JJ.
Backdoor cover.
They're going to cover. Alternate spread.
JJ, what would you put the over-under at for team total on just the Commanders? What would you set it at?
19.5.
Okay, so they're close to 20. You didn't come at me with like a 15.5.
I think the play of the day is the over in this game, personally.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, like you guys were both just saying. I mean, he was top of the league in passing yards. Might still be. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, they could put up points. So I'm with you, Coach Jay, and you as well, Ben. Next game on the slate, Broncos at Texans. This one should be really good. Of course, Benjamin Allbright, I'm coming to you here. If you were on this graphic and you know the Broncos are 3.5-point dogs, would you take the points? Or would you take the Houston Texans, who are now without Titus Howard, which is going to be a big loss for C.J. Stroud on that offensive line? Would you take the points in your Denver Broncos, or would you go Texans?
I hate that hook. That hook is the most awful thing I've seen since his haircut I got the other day, where I look like the villain from The Fifth Element. Man, Denver's been winning close games. I got a Denver money line ticket. I'm not taking. I don't know if I'm taking the 3 in the hook though. I'm a little worried about them killing me with the backdoor here, the backdoor cover. C.J. Stroud loves that fourth quarter, loves to throw the football, and they carve up the zone. The Broncos go to zone a lot. They carve up the zone. They struggle against man, but they carve up the zone. So I don't like that 3 at a hook. If it was just 3 flat or less than that, I'd take Denver on this one. But that 3 at a hook, man, since you're giving it to me with Denver with the plus 3.5, I'm going to take it. But if it was the other way around, I'd let it go.
I wanted to ask you, too, again, all the credit and props in the world to the Denver Broncos for turning around the season and what looked like to be a disaster. I want to ask, how low did it get in Denver when they had such a slow start to the season? Again, now, incredible, 6-5, probably going to get in the playoff spot. But, like, being a guy that's inside, like, how low did it get for the Denver faithful and just for everybody involved?
Well, the team always believed. The team was fine. Even after that drubbing, the team was fine. It's the fan base that was melting down. I mean, you had Fire Vance Joseph signs everywhere. There were people threatening to storm Dove Valley. It was everybody was in histrionics. It's just one of those things where I'm like, dude, you got to have a little patience, man. I mean, they had 7 starters out for that, on defense for that Miami game. I mean, it's just, you got to have a little patience. You got Vance Joseph running a defense that's antithetical to what he's ever run. Vance is a middle of the field closed defense kind of guy, and they were asking him to continue to run what Fangio was running, which is, middle field open, C2, C4, C6 type stuff. And so, we had safeties at the wrong depth to start at the snap. It was just a disaster to start. It's coming together now. I think the faithful has come around and believe. There's a lot of embarrassing tweets out there from some of these fans about stuff early on, though.
Yeah, I can imagine. And being in Cleveland, we all have receipts pulled up on us left and right on Twitter. So it's just another day in the office for us. Coach Jay, you're fading your guy C.J. Stroud, not necessarily to lose, but for the Broncos to cover. Do you think, again, I mentioned the offensive lineman Titus Howard is now out for the Texans. Do you think that's going to be a huge loss for him in the pass protection going forward?
That's always a big loss when you lose your starting tackle. I don't know who their backup is, but it's a big loss.
George Fant.
George Fant. Wow, from Washington or Seattle. Wow, that's a good one. He can function. I just think I just really like the momentum teams have going this stage in the season. I like Denver's momentum right now. Their confidence. They really believe right now. Russell Wilson's not making any mistakes. He's getting the ball to Cortland Sutton. The running game is going to be solid. I just think right now the momentum of the Denver Broncos is a little bit too much for Houston right now. Had a really tough loss against Jacksonville at home last week. Hopefully, I'm rooting for Houston. I really like Houston. Hoping they come back and make a little bit of a run. But I just think right now I'm taking the momentum. I'm taking Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. And that Denver defense has sold me. I thought the first 2 games they played well. It was like, that's just 2 games. Then it's 3, then it's 4, then it's 5. Now it's been 6. So I believe in the Denver defense, and I think they're a better team right now than Houston.
JJ, over under here is 47.5. The Texans offense has been clicking with rookie CJ Stroud for the majority of the season. And as we've mentioned, now Russell Wilson, it looks like almost prime Russell Wilson, and that offense is clicking. So you think this over under at 47.5 is high, low again, or just right? And, you're on the Broncos to cover some thoughts.
In the betting scheme of things, man, I think it's a weirdly high number that, it's a weird spot, but I believe the Denver Broncos defense. I mean, the last 5 games, they are averaging about 16 points allowed on defense, right? I mean, Kansas City, they held them to under 9 points. Buffalo,
Under
they
9?
held them to 22 points. What was that?
You say under 9 or 9?
It was 9, under 9 points.
Okay.
Yeah, under 9, whatever. God, why are you throwing me off? Well, 9 points. They held them to 9 points. Buffalo 22 points. Minnesota scored 21. But then you got the Cleveland Browns offense. I know they have not a great quarterback in right now, but held them to 12. And then another game again, 17 with Jordan Love. So defense is playing good. I think they're going to give some CJ Stroud some problems, and I think it took a lot out of the Texans last week, losing a divisional opponent, falling behind that AFC South battle, and who knows? I think the Broncos are just playing too well, and I think 3.5 is just way too valuable at this point. So I'm going to put the points in my pocket.
I do like this under a lot.
Yeah, like I said,
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was going through these, our team was making the graphics. It did seem high off jumping off the paper. So I'm with you, Coach. I like the under there too. Next game on the slate: Panthers Bucks. Ben, Frank Wright gone. Not even a full season in Carolina. Did it shock you? Did it surprise you? Did you expect it? Thoughts on the Panthers? And Jazz, I'm coming to you because you're actually on the cover. But did it shock you that Frank Wright got the boot 11 games in, starting 1-10, or not really?
Not based on what I know there. It always surprises me when a coach gets a boot, midway through one season. It's happened three years in a row now. And then prior to that, it had been 1978 was the last time it happened with Pete McCulley in the 49ers. And McCulley, to his credit, by the way, went to the press conference after he got fired and gave a press conference. They were asking him if he was surprised he got fired. He said, well, I haven't been surprised by anything since I found out ice cream cones don't go all the way to the bottom, which, I guess gave us the great all-time quote there. But you're surprised anybody gets fired in their first season, because if you're not going to commit to a guy for 3 seasons, what are you doing hiring him in the first place, right? You got to turn the roster over, get his guys and all that kind of stuff. But Dave Tepper's a guy who's impatient. He's a little meddlesome. I know for a fact that he one time in his I don't know if it was his second or third season as owner, but I know for a fact he diagrammed a play on a napkin that he saw the Cleveland Browns run the week before, handed it to his well-respected offensive coordinator at the time and said, I want to run this week. Just a random play. The owner just sitting there saying, I want to run this play. And you're like, okay. He's meddlesome. So I'm not surprised by that. I think the apple of his eye is Ben Johnson. I don't know if they're going to get him because he's going to have better options. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes out. They've got some. The one thing that struck me is that the curse of Ejiro Evero. This is the second year in a row he's been defensive coordinator for a coach who got fired in their first season. So I'm not on Carolina. I love Tampa in this one. To make a short story real long, I'm on Tampa in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on Tampa. JJ, however, like I mentioned, is not. 1-10, Bryce Young, fresh off. I know we said it earlier. You love the stat of after a coach gets fired, the team rallies.
There it is, JJ. There it is.
You knew it was coming.
Steal my thunder.
It's got to be your reasoning here, right? It's got to be.
Well, that's got a lot to do with it. But then David Tepper coming out in that press conference talking about Bryce Young the way he did, I think the team is going to rally behind Bryce Young, and I think they're going to rally against Tampa. Tampa's still not a very good football team at the end of the day. This is way too many points to give the Buccaneers. I don't care if they're home. I don't care where they're playing. This is too many points, and I don't care. I don't care if it's the Panthers, right? I think there's going to be a big rally behind Bryce Young. I can see Bryce Young throwing a couple touchdowns. I think probably his best game yet, and just the players rallying on behind him. I think this is going to be a coming out game for him. I really like the Panthers here, and don't be surprised if they win this game outright.
Yeah, so I saw your tweet, and again, a lot of our listeners are going to tune into this tomorrow and want to hear about it. What did he say in that press conference? What did he say again? Did he essentially say that they would have taken C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young if they had to pick? What was it?
So I think it was like a weird situation. They didn't really expect to have the number one pick or whatever it was, and they didn't expect to be in that position. And I think they would have been happy with either quarterback, but they would have been more happy with C. But just saying that right there, I think discourages your quarterback. I mean, can you imagine being Bryce Young hearing that? I mean, that's gotta feel great. You know what I mean? You got to play next week, and your owner's talking about C.J. Stroud, wishing they had him. I think Bryce Young is going to have a great game this week. I think teammates are going to be behind him. And this is a game that Panthers, I think, win outright.
Jay, thoughts on fuel to the fire for Bryce Young and these Carolina Panthers?
I hope so. I'd like to see him have some success. He seems like a good kid. He's just too little. I just don't see him doing a whole lot of good things in the pocket. He can't see, and he's had some troubles, and offensive line hasn't been protecting him very well. And that's not a good combination. If you're giving push up the middle in the pocket for a smaller type quarterback, you're not going to get a lot of results. But the good thing is Tampa Bay's secondary has been atrocious, and they might make some plays with Thielen down the field, hopefully, and they can get some things going. But I just think Tampa Bay has a lot to play for, and Mike Evans is going to have a good day, and Baker should be fine, and I think Buccaneers are a better team right now. What the hell?
Absolutely. Spot on. 3 games left before we cover and finish week 13. Benjamin, I'm coming to you here first because 49ers-Eagles should be a fantastic game. This game is one where the Eagles are 10-1. They're 5-0 at home, and then you've got the 49ers 8-3, 4-2 on the road. The whole panel is on the Niners. And I feel like it's just because, Ben, I mean, the Eagles are a fantastic football team. Jalen Hurts lights out that defense. But I don't think against a great team like the 49ers that they could continue to play like this week in, week out. They arguably, I mean, the game was close last week against Buffalo, but I just feel like at some point in the season, they're due to lose another game and have a letdown week. And I think it could be against a resurging 49ers team led by Brock Purdy, who's finally, again, starting to play really, really well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think San Francisco, even going West Coast to East Coast and all that, I still think I'm on San Fran in this one. I'm all over the over in this one, but it's interesting to me because the Eagles' offense have been so uneven the last 3 weeks. They've had some stretches where they played really well, and then they've had some stretches where they couldn't buy a pass. I think San Francisco is going to expose them a little bit. I like the Niners in this one.
Yeah, 100%. Coach Jay, Niners on the road, get it done, cover -3. As the road dog. Again, Philly playing fantastic, but I think this is the week, like I said, and like Ben just said, where they come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people talk about San Fran's offense, but their defense is pretty good. I think the addition of another big athletic defensive end can slow Jalen Hurts' scramble ability. You got Bosa, and you got 2 big, fast, athletic defensive ends that really are critical in this day and age of pro football. With these athletic quarterbacks will help out a lot. Secondary is pretty good for San Francisco, and I think they do a good enough job. But I just think with Brock Purdy and everybody healthy, they have proven that they are undefeated with all those guys and all the weapons healthy at the same time. And I got to ride with them. My man Trent Williams will be blowing off these guys off the ball, and Purdy and Samuel and Ayuk and Kittle. I mean, it's just a tough team.
Very stacked, very good team, especially when Brock Purdy is playing the way he is and he has all of his guys.
MVP.
JJ, you missed it. You missed it last week. We got into a little bit about Brock Purdy potentially being in the MVP conversation. And Coach Jay,
I'm ready to admit it. Against San Fran, or if he wins at Philadelphia, he might move up a little bit in the odds there, Grant. You know what I'm saying? It might trickle up there. Might go from plus 1,000 to plus 650.
Even before the game, Coach, I'm ready to give you a flowers and admit I'm putting him in the conversation regardless of what happens in the game and before. So I'm admitting it, JJ. Brock Purdy is an MVP candidate. I hope you're happy because he's lighting it up, dude.
He's doing well. And I mean, just the spread alone, like San Francisco on the road, we know Brock Purdy struggles on the road. That's where they got a majority of their losses. And they're a 3-point favorite against a Philadelphia Eagles team who's only lost 1 game this season, right? And I think right now the public, they see if they see a line like Philadelphia and how well they've been playing this year. Oh, this is a 9-1 team. They should get this. I'm getting plus money on it. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be hammering that money line, and it's just not going to work out for them. Defensively, I think they're good. They got all their players back. This is a big game for them. I think they're going to get a lot of momentum moving forward to the later part of the season. And I like the under, though, in this one. Again, what we know about Brock Purdy's struggles, he might take a while to get going here. Defensively, the 49ers are very good. I think they're going to limit Jalen Hurts in that offense. So I like the under, and I'm on the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I'm with you. No matter how high-flying both of these offenses are, in a game like this, 47.5 still does seem kind of high to me. So I'm on the under there, too. 2 more games left on the slate, and this next one, Chiefs-Packers. I find this game interesting. And JJ, it was refreshing to see you with me in this game, fading. Not again, Chiefs probably.
I don't know if that's refreshing for me because you've been so cold.
Like I told you, JJ, it's been 5 weeks since you won a week overall, but great week last week. Still didn't win. You had a better week than me, but I just feel like Jordan Love looked great last week. I know, like we said, Coach Jay, you're spot on. The Lions defense has been suspect, but coming back home, fueled after a big win on Thanksgiving with the extra couple days rest on Sunday night against the Chiefs. JJ, I don't know why, but something tells me the Packers could not only just cover in this game, but potentially win it outright at home.
It's an interesting spot. And I look at the over-under total before I made this pick, right? It's like 42.5. And typically when this total is this low with the Chiefs offense the way it is, I always lean the under no matter what. And typically the away team always, when they win, it's usually typically, I believe it's 65% of the time, hits the under too as well this season. So with that being said, man, I like the Packers right now. They're coming off 10 days rest. With that total being as low as it is too, I mean, this is a game just like the Broncos. There's a 43, 44, right around there. Very low total. Broncos end up getting the dub and the under hit. So I'm looking at this one. I think Love and the Packers, Matt LaFleur, they got a lot of momentum too going right now. So I think that they could pull this one off. Not win necessarily, but keep it close enough where they can cover this game.
Jay, the Chiefs, finally put together some second half points. Scored 17 second half points last week against the Raiders. How you feeling about this game on Sunday Night Football at Lambeau Field?
We're talking about possibly the best team in the AFC, right? Going to Green Bay, playing against Jordan Love and the Packers, and you guys are taking the Packers? Yeah. Kansas City's a better team, period. They're a better team. They have better defense. They have better offense. And I know that Kansas City struggles at receiver and other drops and all that stuff, but Jordan Love has had a couple games back-to-back where he's looked pretty good. But Detroit, like I said, has struggled mightily against the pass and against the run. Chargers scored 4 or 5 touchdowns in a row against the Detroit Lions defense a couple weeks ago. So that's not going to happen against Kansas City. That ain't going to happen. So Kansas City, I think, wins this game easily. I think it's a pretty simple cover, personally.
Ben, are you fading JJ and I? Are you with Coach Jay?
I'm with Coach on this one. Kansas City's going to blow them out. I'm not a big Jordan Love fan. He got a couple of short fields in that Detroit game because Rashawn Gary was such a menace and got those fumbles on Jared Goff. I think that game was an illusion. I don't think Jordan Love is really much of he's a marginal starter in the NFL to me. I think he's got all the weapons in the world, not getting it done. I think Kansas City starts to put that offense together a little bit more. I think they boat race him.
I like this guy. He's smart. You guys put him on here just to agree with me or what?
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff that we appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, again, it seems like when we first started the show, Coach, I would come on here and I'd be fading you and I'd be like, what the hell am I doing? And now we bring in a guy like Ben, super intelligent, plugged in, and it's like double whammy. It's like JJ, however, doesn't look really rattled. JJ looks like he's locked in on the pack.
Your record.
I really think this is a cover. Kansas City last year, they didn't cover many games. I know it doesn't translate to this year, but they don't cover. They're not a covering team. They covered last week against the Raiders. They came back. Congratulations, but going to Lambeau, it's going to be tough.
JJ, we'll have some Twitter flowers to take back from Ben and Coach Jay on Twitter if somehow the Packers, I'm going to be rooting like hell for the Packers to cover and potentially win this game. But again, yeah, the Chiefs are all around the better team by far. Last game on the slate before we get out of here, Bengals at Jags. Everyone, the entire panel is on the Jaguars. Ben, I'm going to come back to you here first again as the guest. Last game on the slate. The Bengals offense, I know the Steelers defense is good, but again, right, with this backup quarterback, with Joe Burrow being out, Jake Browning, I mean, it's just The guy, you can't expect much, right? You still have weapons. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins has been banged up. Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon's a very good running back. But at the end of the day, on the road against the Jaguars team, 8-3, it just seems like too tall of a task for Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals, who are a little bit banged up as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's Jake Browning. If this was Joe Burrow, we're having a totally different conversation. But it's Jake Browning, and they're going to be limited in what they do. Joe Mixon is not the same player he was 3 years ago, and he does all right, but he's just not the he's not the same player he was. And at the end of the day, I think Press Taylor and Doug Peterson with the Jags are doing. I think they're they're stringing together wins, and I like what they're doing. So give me the Jags, even with that 8 points. Go ahead and give me the Jags. And over/under is the one that's dicey for me, man. I want to take the under on that one rather than the over, though.
37.5. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Jake Browning putting up more than 10. I can see maybe 13, but yeah, I would take the under there as well. And the Bengals defense, again, it's banged up, but they could get some stops. But I'm with you. I'm a huge believer in Trevor Lawrence. I love the Jaguars. I love what they're doing over there. Coach Jay, close out on the slate. Again, I think just to sum it up, there's really not much, right? This game probably won't be very close at all.
Yeah, I put this as my pick of the day. Jacksonville, Cincinnati, I don't know what happened to their defense. I think they're down to 30th or 31st in defense right now. Joe Mixon had 8 carries for 16 yards last week. They had the ball for 22 minutes against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was able to move the ball. And Jacksonville's offense is just a little bit better than Pittsburgh's. Just a little bit. So this game, I think, it's going to be ugly early, and then force Jake Browning to have to come back and throw it. That ain't going to happen. It's going to be just the way it looks. It's going to be a bad day for Monday Night Football.
JJ, another piss poor primetime game, man. You're still going to watch it, and I'm sure as hell you're probably still going to bet on it.
Well, yeah. Well, it makes me nervous, though, because I have Trevor Lawrence as my starting quarterback in fantasy. It's a must-win situation for me. And when you see an over-under of 37.5, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. There could be a lot of ball management by the Jaguars, though, too, which could kind of put the Bengals in that position to cover. But nevertheless, I'm going with the Jaguars here. There's just no chance that Browning can keep up with that offense.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville scores 35, 38 points, personally.
Yeah, you think Press will run it up on his brother?
Their secondary has got their ball hawking secondary. They're like top 5 in turnovers, and I think they're going to have short fields, and it's going to be a bloodbath. What do you say, Benjamin? I missed it.
Oh, I just said you think Press is going to run it up on his brother?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can have a choice. I think it's going to be ugly early, and then the turnovers will start to come, and it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. It sucks for the Bengals because there's just been so many injuries, and Joe Burrow's, I mean, he's fantastic with that offense, and they were finally starting to put it together. But ladies and gentlemen, 6 teams on a bye this week: Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, Ravens. So a limited slate, only 2 4:00 games, but that is every single play and pick for Week 13. Coach Jay, 3-week champion, going hopefully for his 4th. Both of them are coming off a hot week. So, and then Benjamin, again, man, great work as always, and we appreciate you taking the time tonight, man.
Hey, it's all on this side of the table, man. I enjoy having it. I had a good time, and it's always good for some laughs, including with this terrible haircut. So,
hey, before we go, I gotta hear, Benjamin, what's your right now? Who's your top 3 MVP candidates that you would say could have the legitimate chance of winning the MVP award at the end of the year?
I mean, if you're looking at statistical, it's got to be a quarterback. I mean, for me, it'd be DeRon Bland, but it's not going to be, right? So I think you got to look at this. You got to say, all right, it's quarterbacks. Who are we looking at? It's going to be Tua. It's going to be Brock Purdy, and it's going to be Dak. One of those 3.
Oh, Hurts is number 1.
Well, I mean, I guess Hurts is in there too. I think he's going to drop off a little bit, though. I think he's going to get spanked a little bit this week.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about right now. It's got to be Hurts is 1.
Yeah, Hurts probably has the best odds right now. I'm just saying, for me, I'm probably one of those 3. Jalen Hurts has the most talent around him out of all. Well, I mean, Purdy might, but those 2 have the most talent around him. I like Dak a lot. I do. If that makes me whatever, then I'll take it. But I like Dak a lot in this one. I think he's doing more with less.
Nice.
Coach, yeah, I tell you what, before we go, if Brock Purdy wins MVP, I'll buy a Purdy jersey and wear it on the next show, whenever that is, if he wins MVP. All right.
He's going to move up once they beat Philly at Philly this week. I mean,
we'll
look at his numbers, Grant. Look at his numbers. Look at his down the field completions. Look at him.
I gave him his flowers. He's been on fire. We'll see if he wins Sunday. Again, boys, appreciate your time. That'll wrap it up. We will catch you guys next week after College Football Championship Saturday. So enjoy it, and we will see everybody next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you.